Today we're going to break down a low bar squat so you can generate more power and strength and keep yourself safer when you're doing the exercise. First thing you're going to have a look at, before we even touch the bar, ignore the fact I just touched the bar to put it on the floor. You want to have a look at the J hooks first. If you're squatting heavy, that puts more weight on your shoulders, so the bar position might actually be lower than you think. So if I've got the hook sitting here, same height as my shoulders, if I have the bar across my shoulders, when you fatigue at the end of a set, the bar usually sits lower than that because the weight pushes your structure down. So when you try and rack the bar back on, you may have to try and lift it up and over the hook. That's dangerous and you might get stuck. So the best position for these hooks, below shoulder height. Especially on a low bar squat because the bar will sit a bit lower down than normal on your shoulders. In a high bar squat, it sits above the shoulder line or in line with your shoulders. So you'd be fine racking it out from there. With a low bar squat, it sits more on your rear delt, so it will be lower down. So for this, make sure it's at least 2 or 3 inches below your shoulders. That should keep you safer. There is a difference between a low bar squat and a high bar squat. Low bar squat, you're going to generate more power in the movement because of the mechanical advantage you have due to the position you put your joints in as you do the movement. From behind, a high bar squat, the bar will sit on top of the shoulders. When you lift it up, your body has to stay more upright because if you hinge and lean forward, that weight is now automatically put on the back of your neck. That's not comfortable. You cannot overload that too much. With a low bar squat, the bar will sit across your rear delts so you can lock it in position. This means that as you hinge forward, the bar is not on your neck, it's on your rear delts. And when you pull the elbows back to create a shelf, this is safer for your structure and it lets you get into these positions easier. In terms of where to put your hands on the bar, you're going to get the bar as close together as your shoulder mobility allows. Get yourself under the bar, grip onto it, and then try and bring your hands as close together as you can to the point where you're still comfortable but you have tension and you're tight on the bar. If I grip the bar wide like this, I have much less stability because the bar can rock around a bit more. Whereas if my arms are closer together, as tight together as my ability will allow me to go, when I lift it off, it's far more stable because of the tension that I've got on the bar. When it's on your rear delts, before you get the bar off the rack, you want to pull the elbows back and then pull the bar down into your back to engage your lats. This keeps the bar far more stable on your shoulders before you complete the movement. When you set your stance for the squat, anywhere from hip width to shoulder width apart, use whatever's most comfortable for you. Once you have your stance, the first thing you want to do is screw your feet into the floor so your knees are angled outwards. Make sure your toes are facing slightly outwards. Do not have them facing forwards. Turn the toes out to open up the space in your hips. Slightly lean forward. You'll always want to lean forward on a low bar squat and remain upright for a high bar squat. For low bar, hinge, screw your feet into the floor, knees out. This will engage your glutes. Then as you squat down, you're going to push the knees out to the sides to allow you to sit deeper into the squat. A low bar squat requires your hips to work more. It's a hip dominant exercise. So to do this, you're going to have to lean forward to engage the hips before dropping down into the squat. This mechanical setup lets you use more weight because your hips and glutes are far more powerful than your lower back and quads. If you're going for a high bar squat position, you can't lean forward, you want to stay upright. This shifts way more of the weight onto those quads and lower back and your core. So hinge to engage your lower back, glutes and hamstrings. And as you sit down, imagine there's a very small chair behind you. You're trying to sit down onto that chair. As you're squatting down, push the knees out over the toes. Once you're here, you want to force the knees out to the sides to keep your glutes engaged. Before pressing up, coming out the hole, you want to lift the chin up, look up because your body follows your eyes. Keep the chest high and then push that floor away, going chest up first. You want to squat to a point where your knees and hips are at least parallel or below parallel. If you can't get that low without either your heels popping off the floor or leaning too far forward, you have a mobility issue. If that happens, take a 15 or a 10. The thicker the plate, the better. Now you're going to pop your heels on top of this plate. You're borrowing mobility. So now this artificial flexion of your ankles should let you sit much deeper into the squat so it's more comfortable. Keep using this until you improve your mobility so you can do it without a plate. So if you're trying to build stronger squats, you want a low bar position, not a high bar position. If when you squat the bar is painful on top of your shoulders, drop the bar behind your delts. You have it too high up on your shoulders, that's why it's uncomfortable. When I started squatting, I had a high bar position, thinking that was just how you had to squat, before I learned that you can actually have it lower down. By having the bar lower, as we've already discussed and shown you, you have more hip involvement. When you have more hip involvement, your glutes work more, your hamstrings work more. These are far stronger muscles than your quads and your core, especially when you're upright. High bar, upright and weaker. Good for strengthening the muscles that support your back squat, but for a stronger squat, keep the bar down low, low bar squats.